The president yesterday said something that has to disturb every American. When he's telling people to go out there and vote because the voting is revenge.
Exactly. It's been action or what?
This is not about revenge. This is about a different word that starts with an R. And that is about restore. And it's about restoring another word that starts with an R. And that's our republic. Because what it really is about are these young kids that are standing here before me. What are we going to pass on to them for their legacy? What will be said of us on this day, the 6th of November of 2012? What do we do to ensure that the greatness, the exceptionalism of this constitutional republic is restored for them, for future generations? That's what this is about. This is about America. It's about each and every one of you, because you represent that which is America. America was founded upon the strength of the individual, your individual sovereignty, your individual freedom, your individual industrialism. But when you think about where we are right now, some person is trying to make it about himself. And there are people that are trying to make it about an ideology, a philosophy, a principle of governance that has never been successful anywhere in the world. And yet it's playing out here in our country. And think about this. $1 trillion stimulus package was passed back in January of 2009. Unemployment right now is supposed to be somewhere between 5.4 to 5.8%. That's a failure. A president that said he would cut the deficit in half, which meant President Bush's last deficit of $458 billion. Well, you know, I went to Tennessee, but I'm pretty good at simple math. That means that deficit should be at $230 billion, not $1.1 trillion. Right. Following 3 other years of 1.42, 1.29, 1.3 trillion. That's the sadness. That's the sadness, because we are running the country into the ground. And to get out and say that this is about revenge, revenge for what? Remember 4 years ago, these were the words that were said. I am 5 days, we are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America. No one asked what fundamentally transform meant. No one asked what hope and change meant. No one asked what change we can believe in meant. But now we know what that means today. It means that we are destroying our country. We have gone so far in debt. It means that we are destroying individual industrialism as we move toward a dependency society. It means that we are going to bankrupt the future for our seniors and also for our children. It means that when you look at the gasoline prices, think about what is happening up there in New Jersey and New York, the greatest nation the world has ever known, and we've got Americans without power and without fuel. All because we have an individual that cannot sit back and think very logically. How do we get the military engaged? How do we get a naval vessel out to start pumping fresh water and gasoline? How do we get military generators? Unfortunately, at least, Mayor Bloomberg came to his senses and he canceled the New York Marathon. But think about the power generation that we have in this country. All you need is a person that can sit down and think not about himself and not about revenge, but think about this republic and put the people before himself. And as Sid said, it's very troubling for me. Because being a member of the armed services, having spent 22 years of active duty service, and being a combat battalion commander, if I send a patrol out, and if I'm not with that patrol, and I hear on the radio that they're pinned down with enemy fire and they're requesting resources, the only question is, how fast can we get it to them? Right. Everything else is of no consequence. But what happened in Benghazi, ladies and gentlemen, history has a way of repeating itself. How many of you remember the Battle of Mogadishu in Somalia? Oh, yeah. Remember the Delta Force operators and the Rangers who went in? Yeah. Right. And General Garrison, who was the commander of that Special Operations Task Force, asked Secretary of Defense Les Aspin for 2 things. He asked him for AC-130 gunships, and he asked him for armor support. Les Aspin, under the Clinton administration, said no. 18 Rangers and Delta Force operators lost their lives. 73 to 74 others were severely wounded. They fought valiantly. They killed over 2,000 Somali militiamen. But that did not have to happen in that night. And one of the great things I remember, just the same as those two Navy SEALs, Doherty and Woods, ran to the sound of the guns. So did two Delta Force snipers, Sugar and Gordon. When they were told, we don't know if we can get to you, but they said, we've got a pilot that's down, and we're going to go in and cover that pilot. That's what Americans do. That's what American fighting men do. See, when we take that oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, it means something to us. But when we take another oath to our brothers and sisters in arms that says, I will never leave my comrade brother behind.
Right.
Unfortunately, you have someone in the White House that does not believe in that.
That's right.
You know, one of the things I love is SEC football. And of course, Tennessee is really sucking this year. We haven't won a game in the SEC, but that's okay. We'll get to something else. But in SEC football, when the zeros go on the scoreboard at the end of the third quarter, everyone does this. They put up four fingers because it's the fourth quarter. And the fourth quarter is when you lay it on the field. When the fourth quarter comes around, that's when you find who has the resolve, the spirit, the vigilance, the determination, the heart to start pancaking the other side. We're in the fourth quarter.
Sir.
Put up your four fingers. And let's start pancaking the other side on election day. So that Tuesday night, when they're all zeros on the scoreboard, we will know that we have achieved a victory, not for ourselves as we stand here, but for the legacy of our children and grandchildren, and in remembrance of the 56 men who held up their four fingers when they signed the Declaration of Independence that made this great constitutional republic, the United States of America. God bless you all, and let's get out there and fight in the fourth quarter. Thank you so much.